Right now, sitting in your garage, there might be something that could explode in your hands. And I'm not exaggerating. We're talking about 1.7 million tools that have already been sold, already been used, and are now sitting in homes just like yours. Harbor Freight just issued one of the biggest recalls in its history, and most people who own these tools have no idea. You might be one of them. And what they're not telling you in the fine print could be the difference between a close call and a trip to the emergency room. You go to Harbor Freight because you want a deal, right? You want tools that work without dropping $300 on a single wrench. It makes sense. You walk in, you see the orange price tags. You think, same job, half the price. And you walk out feeling smart. Maybe you bought an air compressor last year. Maybe it was a jack stand. Maybe it was something smaller, something you don't even think about anymore because it's just sitting there in the corner, waiting for the next project. You trust it. You assume it was tested. You assume someone checked. But here's what you didn't know. Some of those tools were never meant to hold up under real pressure, and the companies that made them knew it. Let me tell you what's actually happening here. This recall isn't just about one bad batch or one factory mistake. This is about a pattern. Harbor Freight has had multiple recalls over the last few years. Jack stands that collapse while you're under your car, chainsaws that kick back without warning, ladders that fold when you're 10 feet off the ground. And every single time, the recall notice goes out quietly. A press release buried on page 9 of a website most people never visit. An email that lands in your spam folder. A post on social media that gets drowned out by everything else. So the tools stay in your garage, and you keep using them. Now here's where it gets worse. These recalls don't just affect the people who bought the tool yesterday. Some of these products have been on shelves for years. That means the tool you bought 3 years ago, the one you've used a dozen times without incident, could be on this list. And the thing is, tools don't always fail right away. They fail when they're stressed, when you're putting your full weight on a ladder, when you're underneath a vehicle supported by a jack, when you're cutting through a thick branch, and the chain catches. That's when the defect shows up. That's when the consequences hit. And by then, it's too late to say, I didn't know. So what exactly is being recalled right now? We're talking about corded drills, impact wrenches, saws, and pneumatic tools. The kind of stuff that's in practically every garage in America. The kind of tools people reach for without thinking because they've used them 100 times before. But here's the problem. The details are spreading slowly, and Harbor Freight isn't exactly making it easy to find out if your specific model is affected. They're not sending people door to door. They're not calling your phone. They're not even sending a clear, bold email that lands in your inbox with urgent recall in the subject line. Instead, you have to go hunting for the information yourself. You have to go to their website. You have to navigate through pages of fine print and legal disclaimers. You have to enter a model number that might be worn off or painted over by now because you've been using this tool for years in dusty, dirty conditions. You have to cross-reference serial numbers that are stamped in places you'd never think to look. Under a battery compartment, on the inside of a handle, in tiny print on a metal plate that's been covered in grease and grime since the day you brought it home. And even if you find those numbers, you still have to decode whether your specific production batch is part of the recall or not. It's a maze designed to frustrate you into giving up. And if you don't do that, if you just assume you're fine because you haven't heard anything, because your tool has worked perfectly every other time, you're rolling the dice every time you pick up that tool. Every squeeze of the trigger, every cut, every bolt you tighten. You're betting your fingers, your face, your life that this time won't be the time it fails. And here's the part that should really make you uncomfortable. This recall happened because people got hurt. Not because Harbor Freight ran tests and found a flaw before anyone was injured. Not because some quality control manager had a crisis of conscience. It happened because enough people reported incidents that the Consumer Product Safety Commission had to step in. That means there are real cases, real injuries, people who thought they were just fixing a deck or changing their oil, and now they're dealing with crushed fingers, lacerations, or worse. Those people trusted the same tools you might be trusting right now. But let's go deeper, because this isn't just about whether your specific drill is defective. This is about the entire model of how cheap tools get made and sold in the first place. You see, companies like Harbor Freight don't manufacture most of their own products. They source them. They go to factories overseas, usually in China, and they say, we need this tool, we need it cheap, and we need it fast. The factory says yes. They cut costs wherever they can. Lower grade metals, thinner plastics, less rigorous testing. And then those tools get shipped here, slapped with a brand name, and put on shelves with a price tag that looks too good to be true. Because it is. Now, I'm not saying every tool from Harbor Freight is dangerous. That's not the point. The point is that when you prioritize price over everything else, quality control becomes optional. And when quality control is optional, defects slip through. And when defects slip through, people get hurt. And when people get hurt, companies issue recalls. And the cycle just keeps going. You save $30 on a tool today, and maybe nothing happens. Or maybe 5 years from now, that tool fails at the worst possible moment. and suddenly that $30 discount doesn't seem worth it anymore. Let me paint you a picture. You're in your driveway. It's a Saturday afternoon. You've got your car jacked up because you're changing the oil yourself. You do this all the time. You've done it 100 times. You trust your equipment. You slide underneath, and then you hear it. A crack, a shift, a sound that doesn't belong. And in that split second, you realize the jack stand is giving way. Now, you've got maybe half a second to react. Maybe you get out. Maybe you don't. But either way, your life just changed because someone decided to save a few cents on a weld or use a metal alloy that wasn't strong enough. And you never knew, because the recall notice never reached you. Even when a recall happens, the return rate is shockingly low. Most people never send the tool back. They either don't know about the recall, or they think, mine seems fine, or they just don't want to deal with the hassle of boxing it up and driving to the store. So the defective tools stay in circulation. And companies know this. They know that issuing a recall covers them legally. But in practice, most of those dangerous tools are still out there, still being used, still waiting to fail. Once a tool is recalled, the company's liability is supposed to go away. If you keep using it after the recall notice and something happens, you're on your own. They did their part. They told you. The fact that you never actually saw the notice, or that it was buried in legalese, or that the model number on your tool wore off years ago, not their problem. You kept using it. That's on you. And that's exactly how they designed the system. Plausible deniability at scale. So what do? First, stop assuming you're safe just because nothing has gone wrong yet. Go to Harbor Freight's website right now. Look up recent recalls. Find the model numbers on every tool you own from them. Check the serial numbers. Yes, it's annoying. Yes, it takes time. But you know what takes more time? Recovery from a preventable injury. If your tool is on the recall list, don't just stop using it. Return it. Get your money back, or get a replacement. Don't let it sit in your garage, thinking I'll deal with it later. Later is when accidents happen. Second, rethink how you buy tools. I'm not saying you need to spend $1,000 at a boutique hardware store, but maybe split the difference. For tools that you use once a year, sure, go cheap. But for tools that hold your weight, or cut through materials at high speed, or keep a vehicle suspended in the air while you're underneath it, those are not the tools to bargain hunt on. Those are the tools where you pay a little more for a brand with a track record, because your safety isn't something you should be trying to get a discount on. This recall of 1.7 million tools is just what we know about. There are probably other defects that haven't been reported yet. Other tools that will fail next year, or the year after, when enough people finally complain. And by then, you'll have forgotten this video, you'll have moved on, and you'll be just as vulnerable as you are right now, unless you stay aware, unless you treat every tool you own like it could be the one that fails. Because statistically, one of them will be. Your garage isn't just full of tools. It's full of assumptions. Assumptions that someone tested these things properly, that someone cares whether they work or not, that if there was a problem, you'd definitely hear about it. But those assumptions are wrong. The system is designed to let defective products slip through, and it's designed to make recalls as quiet as possible, so that most of those products never actually come back. You are the last line of defense. You are the one who has to check, because no one else is going to do it for you. So go check, right now, before you use that drill again, before you trust that jack stand one more time, before you assume that because nothing has happened yet, nothing ever will. Because somewhere, in someone else's garage, a tool just like yours just failed, and they thought they were safe, too. Don't be the next one. This is happening across the industry. Cheap tools, outsourced manufacturing, quiet recalls, and consumers who never find out until it's too late. Harbor Freight is just the one making headlines today. Tomorrow it'll be someone else, and the cycle will keep going unless you wise up, unless you stop trusting price tags and start trusting quality, and unless you realize that the cheapest option isn't always the smartest one.